It's easy to start to think too much. Think back to a time when you overthought something. Your heart beats faster and your eyes dart around. As you try to put the pieces back together, your thoughts move at a rate you've never seen before. You stress yourself out by imagining all kinds of bad things, which fills your brain with worry. Now ask yourself how many times you felt silly or a strange sense of relief when you realized that you were overthinking something that didn't matter. Most of the time things aren't as hard as you might think. Overthinking can make you put things off, make you feel bad about yourself, and ruin the time you have with yourself. It can also affect the people around you. This isn't a general statement though. If you don't pay attention to some things out of fear of overthinking, it will lead to problems that could have been avoided. Still, it's important to remember the harm that can come from overthinking. More importantly though, there are many ways to stop thinking too much. These aren't quick fixes, because stopping a thought process in your head can be hard. So take some time to forgive yourself before you watch the rest of this video. Self-improvement is all about figuring out why you do things the way you do them and then going on. This is the same. Accept that you can't change what happens outside of you. Control is important for everyone, overthinker or not, to feel like they are in charge of their lives. It shows up everywhere, from how you start your day to how you plan a wedding. For overthinkers though, the need to be in charge can go further. It can spread to things that are happening outside of the person's control. The more they think they are responsible for, even if they aren't, the heavier that duty feels. Say you're a person who thinks too much and you just finished a job interview. You asked the right questions, stayed calm the whole time, and gave the best version of yourself that you could. The conversation is over and now you just have to wait. For some people that's the end of that story until they learn more. When someone thinks too much, their brain goes into overdrive. Thoughts about how well you did, how you ended the call, and what emails you can send afterward run through your head, but the truth is that you've already done everything you can. Accepting that you can't always control what's going on outside of you can help you feel better. Think of it as a roadblock for thoughts that keep coming up. One way to make this real might be to write down the things you can't change and put them somewhere visible as a constant reminder of what you shouldn't worry about. Getting things done no matter how badly. One of the main reasons people put things off is that they want to do everything perfectly. Even though it's easy to put things on your to-do list, it's a whole different story to actually do them. How often have you finished everything you planned to do in one day? Getting started is one of the hardest things for people who think too much. Before starting, overthinking can cause performance anxiety, which can then lead to putting things off. It may seem too easy to just say take action, but the more you break it down, the easier it gets. Let's use the job interview from before as an example again. You have been asked to put together a proposal for the possible job. It's due in a few days, but you haven't started yet. The job seems hard because you're asking and imagining all kinds of things. What if I can't rely on technology? What if they don't like the talk? Even where do I start? These questions and possible outcomes keep going through the mind of a person who thinks too much until the job has grown from a small hurdle to an impossible climb. We've already talked about how easy the answer is. Separate it. Find the smallest, easiest part of your job and focus on that. Choose something that doesn't have to be perfect to get that much desired sense of accomplishment. In this case, opening, naming, and saving a presentation document would be a good doable starting point. Stop putting all your ideas into action. On TikTok and YouTube you may come across videos with the title "When You Let the Annoying Thoughts Win." Intrusive thoughts are like Alfred to the Batman of a person who thinks too much. The thing is that most people get them, and they can be anything. Have you ever gotten in an elevator and wanted to push all the buttons at once and run? Maybe your unwanted thoughts are more harmless, like thinking what would happen if you got on a different train than usual. I don't know, but these thoughts are there no matter how they show up. When these thoughts don't go where your brain leaves room for them to go, that's a problem. Giving credence to intrusive thoughts is a guaranteed way to overload your main line of thinking and use up all of your mental energy. A hint if this is you? Stop putting all of your ideas into action. Not every one of them needs to be heard. All you have to do is realize that not every thought you have is a good one. Our brains are not perfect and people make mistakes all the time. You could easily confuse this with self-doubt, since telling yourself that not every thought needs to be listened to could make you doubt your own voice. But if you think that might be the case, try to figure out how bad your ideas are. Ask, will this matter in 5 days? If you say no, it's probably not worth your time. Instead, you should live in the present. I can guess what you're thinking. People in the self-improvement world often say that you should live in the moment, but it's a good piece of guidance. When we spend too much of our energy in the present on our future selves, we tend to overthink. It's important to think about your future self, but if you think about it too much, you'll forget about your present life. If you worry too much about things you can't change because you're afraid of what might go wrong, you can't enjoy your life because you'll never be able to enjoy the time you're in. Living in the present helps you redirect and rebalance your energy so that it can be used for good. It can be in the form of easy exercises like the ones below. Look around you and name 5 things you can see. You can touch 4 things. 3 sounds you can make out. 2 smelly things. 1 thing that can be tasted. Tasks like these and keeping a record help you focus on yourself in the present. This gives you more time to think about yourself and less room to overthink. At first glance, motivation is just the energy you need to do a job or activity. But if you look deeper, you'll find that it's an important part of your health and your relationship with yourself. First, let's look at inspiration from a normal point of view. When the deadline for something like writing a lot of emails or doing some boring homework comes, you may find yourself looking for motivation other than what will happen if you don't do it. Most of the time that search comes up empty. That's not how it works to get motivated. You can't just wait around all day for it to come to you. Instead, you should just start no matter how that looks. Think back to when we talked about taking action no matter how bad it might be. This is the same. When you're up and running, that human need to finish what we've started will come to you. This snowball effect is what gets people going. To stop yourself from overthinking, it can be very helpful to understand how inspiration works. When you understand how the snowball effect works, it's easier to let go of annoying ideas and unreal what-ifs. When you start to accept truth, you stop overthinking. Some of these steps might make it sound easy to stop overthinking, but that's not the case. Many people think that way because that's how their brain works, so questioning that authority may seem scary. If that sounds like you, don't worry, you're not the only one. In short, there are 2 main ideas that run through all of the answers in this video: acceptance and action. You can put your best and most important foot forward when you accept yourself for not being able to control everything. Overthinking can stop even the smartest people from doing things, but that doesn't make you less of a person. It just means putting your present self in charge and trusting the choices you make. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a great week.